Listen, my number is 438-WPRO, 438-WPRO, toll-free number 1-800-321-WPRO. Email me, matt@630WPRO.com. I see Dr. Bostom is dialed in on this issue. Hi, Dr. Bostom.
Hi, Matt. So I just wanted to update you on the OSHA regulation that you were discussing with Joe Larissa. They issued, it's a very bizarre thing, Matt. I just want to read it to you because I don't even understand it. I'm reading it verbatim. This was the update to the reg you discussed. OSHA does not wish to have any appearance of discouraging workers from receiving COVID-19 vaccination, and also does not wish to disincentivize employers' vaccination efforts. As a result, OSHA will not enforce recording requirements to require any employers to record worker side effects from COVID-19 vaccination through May 2022. Now, I'm not a regulations person, and you might want to share that with Joe, but that was absolutely bizarre and almost as if it was a direct response to the regulation as it existed a few days earlier that you were referring to. And there's a lot of other strange things going on now, Matt. I just was reading. Sure. Yeah, it's up at OSHA's website. Yeah, they must have gotten wind that people were discussing this regulation, so they updated it. The other thing that's going on, and this is obviously biological. A Harvard group of immunologists published a paper which is suggesting, that the vaccines, the messenger RNA vaccines, which produce the spike protein for development of the immune response. The whole idea was that it was a localized reaction, basically. But this paper is really blowing people away because it's circulating throughout the plasma, throughout the bloodstream. And one of the things that Pfizer and Moderna have not done, and again, I don't understand how they can get FDA approval without doing it, they didn't do exactly this type of study, which is called biodistribution studies. All that really means, Matt, is you look where your product, whether it's a drug or a vaccine, you look where it's ultimately going, or its output is ultimately going. In this case, the spike protein. And usually that's required, certainly for drug approval by the FDA. But in this case, it's a novel mechanism. It should be required for FDA approval ultimately. The British Medical Journal wrote an op-ed about this and approached Pfizer and Moderna, and they wouldn't respond to any questions about what's really basic research on a product, again, a drug or a vaccine. And then the other thing that's unusual is that I'm hearing that these vaccines may not undergo any much longer additional surveillance for safety before licensure, not EUA, licensure.
Yeah, that's I heard. It's been reported a couple of times that they're expecting to have full FDA licensure.
Well, Matt, anything approved within 6 months of data collection, and this was reviewed by vaccinologists, would be unusually rapid because the median duration is almost 2 years. It's 23.1 months. That would be very unusual, and it's happening in the midst of the CDC now investigating an unusual spike of cases of myocarditis, particularly in the young. And right now it's a small number.
You've been concerned about them.
Well, it's a small, Matt, I don't want to alarm people. It's a small number. The problem is it's happening in young people. And just to give you perspective, 96 cases have been identified so far in bears. And these are not like flighty bears cases. These are like heavily documented cases, mostly coming from health professionals with all the laboratory data. So these are real cases. And again, whether the association is true or not is under investigation. But these are real cases. However the hell they occurred, these are real cases. If you compare that to 4 previous years of influenza vaccines, and you can adjust it per volume, but the volumes are very, very close, just in the raw numbers. There was only 4 cases total in 4 years of previous influenza vaccines. So 2016 to 2019. So something unusual.
inflammation of the heart.
Yes, yes, and it can be, most of these, Matt, the reassuring thing is these cases, I mean, they're all hospitalized, unfortunately, but they do tend to resolve. We just don't know what happens long term after this injury, typically it's transient. But it's just a lot of rushing, Matt. I don't understand. Look, the big picture is that we have time to be thoughtful now. The pandemic has burned itself out. Exactly. The emergency is over. Let's observe. Let's go the full length. Let's do the appropriate, longer term safety studies. Let's investigate these signals that are emerging, and let's not rush. And I don't understand what's going on.